The movie starts in 2077 in the United States. TV and radio news announce that the president is missing and nukes might be dropped soon. At a party, the host turns off all devices and asks everyone to have fun. In the garden, Cooper entertains the kids with his cowboy act. After the show, Cooper watches in horror as a bomb falls on the city, causing a massive explosion that brings the world to an end. The shockwave hits the house, breaking the windows, and everyone panics. The hosts hide in their bunker, punching anyone who tries to sneak in while others flee in their cars. Cooper escapes on his horse with his daughter while more explosions are visible in the distance. 219 years later, a privileged part of humanity lives in underground bunkers called vaults because the surface has become too dangerous. Lucy lives in Vault 33 and has many skills such as pipefitting, science knowledge, teaching gymnastics, and fencing. One day, she asks the council for permission to participate in the triennial trade with Vault 32, an event where she hopes to find a husband. The council approves her request. Lucy's family helps her get ready for the event and prepares a small party to celebrate. They escort her to the entrance of Vault 32, where she meets her future husband Monty, who is shy and awkward. Monty joins Vault 33, and after a ceremony to make the marriage official, the families enjoy the party. While everyone is distracted, Monty and Lucy go to their room and quickly get to it. Meanwhile, Lucy's brother Norman visits Vault 32 and is shocked to see a field of dead wheat. He enters the nearest house and finds it ransacked. In a back room, he discovers that the vault leader or overseer has been murdered. Lucy hears noises and yelling in the distance, and then gunshots. She uses her computer brace, called a Pip-Boy, to scan Monty and discovers he is from the surface. Monty and his family are actually raiders who infiltrated the vaults. After raiding Vault 32, they pretended to be locals to gain access to Vault 33. Monty attacks Lucy, and a fight breaks out. He throws Lucy against the oven and grabs a knife. Lucy recovers and tries to get the knife from him, but Monty overpowers her and stabs her. The alarm goes off, distracting Monty, so Lucy knocks him out with a blender. She gets an injection and leaves her room, discovering that many of her loved ones have been killed, and that Vault 33 is being raided too. Lucy grabs some weapons and goes outside, killing a raider on her way. The party has turned into a battleground as the locals fight the raiders, with both sides losing many lives. One raider even gets crushed in a door. Lucy moves carefully, shooting raiders when she can. Norman almost gets killed but is saved by Lucy, who then makes him hide. Monty finds Lucy and tries to kill her, but Lucy's dad Hank knocks him down from behind, beats him up, and drowns him in a barrel of pickles. Hank and Lucy then run to the corridor connecting the vaults and find that the raiders have taken several hostages. Raider leader Moldaver forces Hank to choose between saving Lucy or the hostages. Hank chooses Lucy and locks her in a closet. The raiders then knock Hank out with tranquilizers. Moldaver tells Lucy she looks like her mother before leaving with Hank and the other raiders to the surface. As they leave, they tell the hostages to run and activate a bomb. Afterward, the survivors start cleaning up and the bodies are taken away for compost. Lucy uses a stapler on her stab wound and asks for a search party to find her dad. However, everyone refuses because the surface is too dangerous. Seeing that Lucy won't give up, Norman convinces gatekeeper Chet to secretly open the door for her. Chet wants to go with Lucy, but she tranquilizes him and says goodbye to Norman before stepping outside. It's Lucy's first time outside, and she is overwhelmed by the strong sunlight, the ruins of the city, the bodies everywhere, and the vast ocean. Meanwhile, Max is training with the Brotherhood of Steel, an organization dedicated to preserving advanced technology and regulating its use to prevent another apocalypse. Max is often bullied by other cadets and is hit by the teacher when he fails to answer questions. One afternoon, aircraft land on the training ground, and the students see knights in T-60 power armor, inspiring them. Max and his best friend Dane sneak around to look at the armors up close. Max remembers meeting a knight as a kid, which inspired him to join the Brotherhood. Later, Max learns that many cadets, including Dane, have been chosen to become squires and join the knights in the field. Max is sad about losing his only friend. The next morning, Dane and others find razor blades in their boots, sabotaging their chances to leave. The leaders suspect Max and take him away for interrogation. Max insists he's loyal and willing to do anything for the Brotherhood, which surprisingly earns him Dane's position as a squire. At his initiation ceremony, a knight heats up a metal hand and touches Max's back, marking him with the Brotherhood's scar. Max then joins a mission to find a wanted man who escaped the Enclave. a paramilitary organization considered a continuation of the U.S. government. The group has a picture of the man and his dog, and they need to retrieve a dangerous object he stole. Max is excited to start and leaves with a night in an aircraft. Meanwhile, a group of bounty hunters approaches a fortress and kills the guard. They search for a notorious bounty hunter buried alive, who is dug up once a year by the fortress leader. The hunters find a grave with IV bags and tubes attached and realize the person is a ghoul, a mutated human. When they open the coffin, the ghoul, revealed to be Cooper, emerges. Cooper playfully picks up a chicken, and the hunters suggest teaming up to secure a large bounty, which is the same person the Brotherhood is after. The man is heading to California to find Moldaver, who Cooper used to know. Cooper is offended by the mention of his past and attacks, killing 2 hunters and wounding the 3rd, whom he throws into his old grave before leaving. A flashback shows Dr. Wilzig in the Enclave, helping with the dog breeding program. He disapproves of their practice of incinerating underweight puppies, so he falsifies records to save one. This puppy, designated CX-404, is trained by Wilzig to be a loyal pet and keeps him company while he experiments in secret. He creates a small pulsating blue bead and injects it into his neck. One day, Dr. Wilzig is caught in the act of his secret experiments by a coworker who threatens to report him. In the struggle to stop the coworker, CX-404, Wilzig's loyal dog, attacks and kills him to protect her master. Wilzig and CX-404 then escape the facility, evading gunfire from a turret. Now they are wanted criminals pursued by the Brotherhood. Lucy, meanwhile, wanders through the ruins and discovers a family who ended their lives with poison. Believing it was better than surviving the apocalypse, that night, she camps by a fire and is awakened by CX-404's growling. The CX-404 kills a mutated roach. Lucy encounters Wilzig, who explains that radroaches evolved from normal cockroaches into larger, more predatory creatures. Wilzig advises Lucy to go home because the wastelands are too dangerous, but she refuses to leave without her dad. Wilzig predicts that her goals will change as she becomes a different animal in the wasteland, then leaves with CX-404. The next morning, Wilzig and CX-404 stop near discarded chemical barrels. CX-404 enters a cave and emerges with a human hand in her mouth, indicating a dangerous monster nearby. Meanwhile, Max tries to bond with Knight Titus but is ignored. When Titus gets bored, he asks the pilot to drop them off early and they wander into the wilderness. They find evidence of Wilzig's presence in a cave and are attacked by a mutated bear called a Yaoguai. Titus's weapon is destroyed and he tries to run but is overpowered by the Yaoguai. Max kills the Yaoguai and, disgusted by Titus's cowardice, refuses to give him medicine. Titus dies and Max takes his armor, experimenting with its strength. As Max explores, he helps a salesman who is being beaten by a chicken collector. The collector reveals he was defending his chickens from molestation. Max discovers the armor has jet capabilities and continues his journey. Lucy arrives at the Philly marketplace but finds no one willing to help her. She sees Vault-Tec in a shop and questions the clerk, who becomes frightened when Lucy mentions Moldaver and kicks her out. Outside, Lucy runs into Wilzig, who recognizes her from Vault 33 and tells her to go home. Before she can ask more, Cooper appears, ignoring Philly's ban on ghouls. The clerk reveals she was hired to transport Wilzig and is attacked by Cooper. As a gunfight erupts, Cooper, being a ghoul, is largely unaffected and kills many locals. Lucy sneaks back into the shop, finds Moldaver's name in the log, and takes a gun. Cooper attacks the clerk, but CX-404 intervenes, allowing Lucy to tranquilize Cooper. Max arrives and protects Lucy and Wilzig while fighting Cooper. In the shop, the clerk amputates a part of Wilzig's leg and provides him with a metal prosthetic, telling Lucy to take Wilzig to Moldaver. Lucy agrees, hoping it will lead her to her dad. While Cooper and Max continue their fight in the streets, Max struggles to control the armor and ends up crash-landing miles away. Cooper heals CX-404 and follows her to find Wilzig. Lucy, carrying Wilzig's head, camps and discovers a tracker in the neck. She puts a tracker inside the nose for safety. Elsewhere, Max tries to repair his suit and lies about Titus's death to his superiors. When they offer a replacement, Max panics and destroys the radio. He returns to the marketplace to buy parts, selling his teeth for money. Surrounded by raiders, Max fights back, crushing one skull with the armor and scaring off the rest. At that moment, a Brotherhood aircraft flies by to drop off Thaddeus, the new squire. Max, now forced to wear Titus's armor and impersonate him, manages to convince Thaddeus that he is indeed Titus. They set off together, with Max taking the opportunity to exact revenge by making Thaddeus do menial tasks. such as climbing trees to gather apples. They eventually find Wilzig's body and follow Luce's trail. As they walk, Thaddeus reveals that he used to be the primary target of bullying from his classmates. When Max arrived as a new recruit, Thaddeus redirected the attention toward him. And now he regrets his actions. In Vault 33, the council decides to strip Chet of his gatekeeper duties and assigns Norman menial tasks like delivering food to the raiders who are now imprisoned. The council also announces plans to rehabilitate the raiders into Vault citizens, despite Norman's objections that they should be executed. The council dismisses his suggestion, citing a shortage of water as a reason they cannot handle the raiders. Meanwhile, Lucy arrives at a flooded city and attempts to befriend a deer. A monster suddenly emerges from the water, grabs the deer, and then attacks Lucy. She shoots the monster, which drops her but takes Wilzig's head as it retreats. Lucy prepares to follow the tracker in the water but is hit by Cooper, who ties her up and uses her as bait. The monster appears and attacks her, but CX-404 intervenes, scaring it off. Defeated, Cooper decides to leave, dragging Lucy with him. Shortly after, Max and Thaddeus arrive. The monster attacks them, and Max's bullets have little effect. Thaddeus, however, manages to lure the monster and ultimately kills it with a combination of Max's help. Wilzig's head is recovered and CX-404 checks on it. Lucy and Cooper continue their journey and reach an old clinic where a ghoul is suffering from a lack of medicine. Cooper shoots him and begins making jerky from the ghoul's flesh. Lucy protests but is forced to help. Later, while collecting water from a dirty puddle, Cooper has a coughing fit, allowing Lucy to attempt an escape. She nearly falls into a chasm but is saved by Cooper. In retaliation for biting his hand, Cooper cuts off one of Lucy's fingers. At the Super Duper Mart, Cooper plans to exchange Lucy for medicine. After sending her inside, Cooper collapses. Inside, Lucy encounters a robot that provides her with a synthetic finger before tranquilizing her. She wakes up on a stretcher in an operation room where the robot is preparing to harvest her organs. Lucy fights back, using a defibrillator to disable the robot. She then threatens the bandits guarding caged mutating women with the robot's syringes filled with poison. The bandits agree to release the women, but the released ghouls attack and kill them. Lucy is forced to kill the last woman who was fully transformed into a ghoul. Afterward, Lucy tells Cooper she'll never become like him and gives him some medicine. Cooper, in turn, discovers more medicine and watches a movie from his acting days. In Vault 33, Norman delivers food to the prisoners who reveal that the council is not as innocent as they seem. Norman investigates Vault 32's records but is denied access. He and Chet travel to Vault 32 and discover that the raiders did not kill the inhabitants. Instead, it was the Vault dwellers who turned on each other. The walls are marked with messages like "We know the truth" and "Death to management." Norman learns from the log that the raiders gained entry using his mom's Pip-Boy. Back with Max and Thaddeus, they rest in an abandoned train station. Max brands Thaddeus as his official squire and attempts to reveal his true identity. Thaddeus, afraid of the Brotherhood, refuses to help and deactivates the armor by removing the fusion core, leaving Max trapped inside. Thaddeus takes Wilzig's head and CX-404, leaving Max behind. The next morning, radroaches swarm the armor. Lucy arrives and kills them, then hesitates to help Max, unsure of whom to trust. Max convinces her to assist him, pretending to be Titus and offering medicine. Lucy releases him from the armor just before passing out. When Lucy wakes, she is healthy thanks to Max's medicine. He explains that many people believe the vaults are home to monsters rather than humans. Lucy proposes a deal. She'll use her tracker to lead him to Wilzig's head if he helps her save her dad using his night weaponry. Max agrees and they set out together. As they travel, they encounter travelers who attempt to attack Lucy upon seeing her Pip-Boy. Max kills them and gets wounded in the process, revealing they were fiends who eat people. They reach Shady Sands, which has a sign indicating a pre-war population of 34,000. Lucy is shocked to realize there are far more people on the surface than she expected, making her question her entire existence. Max shows her the damage done by the war, including a giant chasm and a destroyed city. He reveals that he survived by hiding in a fridge. Lucy realizes Max is bleeding badly, so they seek a first aid kit in old labs. Lucy rushes in, but when Max tries to follow, the doors close and a gas knocks him out. They wake up in a vault. Meanwhile, Norman and Chet continue their investigation in Vault 32 and learn that the locals were trying to reach Vault 31. Vault 33's citizens elect Betty as the new overseer, and Norman discovers that all overseers in Vault 33 and Vault 32 came from Vault 31. The next day, Betty announces that she has arranged for people from Vault 31 to come to Vault 32 to help with rebuilding efforts. As the residents of Vault 33 explore Vault 32, Norman notices the lack of bodies or blood, which makes him suspicious. He questions Betty about the whereabouts of his mother's Pip-Boy, and she claims it was buried with her. A flashback reveals Cooper's days as the face of Vault Tech's advertisements. He records a tour of Vault 4, promoting it as a refuge from communists, and introduces it as a place for a 5-year trial with 80 scientists. At a party hosted by his wife, Barb, Cooper learns from his actor friends that Hollywood is ending due to the upcoming war, and they foresee a future in product promotion. Barb, who works for the vaults and already has a Pip-Boy, shares Cooper's concerns about the restrictive nature of the vaults, leading to frequent arguments between them. In the present, 3 sheriffs capture Cooper and take him to their boss. They even return his finger, which Cooper proceeds to sew back on. The boss, an old acquaintance of Cooper's, orders his men to lower their weapons. Once Cooper has finished reattaching his finger, he attacks and kills the sheriffs. He then questions the boss about a wanted poster of Moldaver on his wall. A flashback reveals that Cooper attended a secret meeting for Hollywood Forever, where he met Moldaver, who was a big fan of his. Meanwhile, Lucy and Max are being treated in a Vault's medical facility. They are asked to wait until it is confirmed they have not been exposed to radiation. Lucy tries to flirt with Max, but he declines, saying he lacks the necessary experience and is bound by his night duties. Lucy respects his choice. A sign indicates they are in a room labeled Test Subjects. Later, they are allowed to go to the mess hall for lunch, where Max compares vaults to cults. They meet Overseer Ben, who has a single central eye, and informs them they are in Vault 4. Ben warns them not to go into Level 12 before leaving. Lucy observes that all the locals appear to be hybrid humans and becomes curious. She visits Ben's office to learn more about Vault 4, discovering that it accepts refugees from the surface, which is unusual. Her inquiry about Level 12 leads to Ben ejecting her from his office. Meanwhile, Max checks on his armor, which has been recovered. He sneaks into the power room to steal a fusion core and repair the armor, but is caught by Birdie. She gives him a Pip-Boy and directs him to Unit 428, where he is provided with his own apartment. Max enjoys basic comforts such as television, music, good food, and clean water for the first time. Lucy wanders around Vault 4 and discovers a classroom with a model of Shady Sands and a timeline on a chalkboard. She realizes that the vault is under the control of the New Californian Republic, which she confirms by finding their flag. Later, all the locals are gathered for a surface dweller tradition led by Birdie. The ritual involves removing Pip-Boys and clothes, worshipping the Flame Mother, a figure depicted as Moldaver, chanting, covering themselves in ashes, and drinking blood. Lucy, disturbed by the ceremony, tries to convince Max to escape, but he is too absorbed in the celebration and refuses to leave. Lucy decides to investigate Level 12 to find evidence of wrongdoing. In Level 12, Lucy discovers a lab with parts of people and a tape showing a woman giving birth to creatures that then consume her. She also finds many pregnant women in capsules. When a scientist enters for a checkup, Lucy hides but is soon discovered. She tries to fight off Birdie and her guards but is overpowered and captured. On the beach, 2 wanderers use metal detectors to search for gear and find Cooper in their kitchen. Cooper interrogates them, learning that one of their sons joined Moldaver's crew and never returned. The other son is also influenced by Moldaver's promises. Cooper kills the boy when he tries to attack him. The flashback shows Cooper's dissatisfaction with Moldaver's speech about the American Dream's death and Vault Tech's corruption. Moldaver reveals that Vault Tech stole her discoveries and that America has been in a resource war for over a decade. She offers Cooper a microphone to spy on Barb, leaving him conflicted about whom to trust. Cooper initially bugs Barb's Pip-Boy but later retrieves the bug after deciding he wants the truth. In Vault 4, Ben and Birdie handcuff Lucy to a table and show her a tape of a monster attacking scientists. They explain that the Vault's current residents are survivors of failed human experimentation with radiation-resistant species. Lucy, realizing her mistake, apologizes and falsely claims there is no experiment in Vault 33 to avoid further trouble, which leads to her arrest. Lucy is publicly condemned to be banished to the surface. Max, having seen her predicament, intervenes by stealing a power core and using his armor to cause chaos, allowing Lucy to escape. They return the power core to the vault, and Max reveals his real name and his actions as Titus. Lucy, understanding the harsh reality of the wasteland, respects Max's actions and agrees to continue working together to find the head. Meanwhile, Thaddeus, with a wounded foot, stops at a gas station where Cooper arrives and hears CX-404's whimpers. Cooper frees CX-404, and they set off to find the head. Thaddeus visits an old clinic, where a doctor exchanges medicine for a fusion core. The medicine heals his foot but transforms him into a ghoul. The Brotherhood aircraft arrives, and Thaddeus, fearing for his life, agrees to trade Wilzig's head to Max in exchange for safety. Thaddeus grabs a random head from the ground and smashes it to pass off as Wilzig's. He gives the real head to Lucy and tells her to find her dad before kissing her. In Vault 33, all the raiders die from rat poison that Betty put in their food. The hospital attendant is arrested, but Betty is behind it. She sends out new repopulation assignments, with Chet moving to Vault 32 with his girlfriend and her baby, while Norman stays in Vault 33. During a ceremony to send the new dwellers to Vault 32, a man tries to refuse but is coerced into accepting by the guards. Norman breaks into Betty's office and contacts Vault 31, pretending to be Betty and reporting a compromised mission. He is ordered back to Vault 31, where he is shocked by what he finds. Max returns to the base with the fake head, but the leader immediately realizes the deception. Max claims he knows where the real head is, and Dane admits to putting razors in their own boots out of fear. The leader decides to spare Max and enlists his help to gain power. Lucy takes the head to Moldaver's base, where people coexist with ghouls. Hank is in a cage, and Moldaver is having dinner with a ghoul. Moldaver removes the sphere from the head and reveals the truth. Hank wasn't born in the vault. Norman discovers that Vault 31's overseer is a computer brain. The overseer explains that Vault 31 houses the executives in cryogenic freeze, while Vaults 32 and 33 are breeding pools to create a class of supermanagers. The government intentionally dropped the bombs to create a monopoly. Hank used to be Barb's assistant. Moldaver tells Lucy that Hank lied to his wife Rose, who discovered that some vaults had returned to the surface. Rose left when Hank hid the truth, taking Lucy and Norman with her. Hank then burned Shady Sands and brought his children back to the vault. Lucy learns that Wilzig's invention is cold fusion, which provides limitless energy. Rose, now a ghoul, is revealed to be Lucy's mother. Devastated, Lucy forces Hank to give Moldaver the code for a computer running on the vault system. Norman, trapped in Vault 31, enters a pod to survive. Moldaver starts using Wilzig's cold fusion on the computer, but the Brotherhood arrives, causing chaos and destruction. Max, protecting Dane and the Knights, witnesses the bloodshed. Hank uses the chaos to prove his point about cleansing humanity, but Lucy, mourning her mother, refuses to free him. The Brotherhood, using their armor, fights off the attackers. Cooper, exploiting the darkness, defeats the Knights one by one. Max frees Hank, and Lucy reveals Hank's role in destroying Max's home. Hank puts on a knight's armor and tries to take Lucy, but Max intervenes and is overpowered. Lucy hesitates to shoot Hank, and Cooper shoots Hank in the cheek. Hank escapes in the armor, and Cooper, seeing more Brotherhood aircraft, teams up with Lucy to find Hank and uncover the conspiracy. Lucy puts Rose out of her misery and leaves with Cooper. Max, now declared a hero by Dane and other soldiers who believe he killed Moldaver, feels disillusioned. Meanwhile, Lucy and Cooper arrive in a desolate Hollywood, and Hank heads towards New Vegas. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. See you on the next video.